Alrighty, today we're going to be taking a look at AUDEN LARRATT versus the Korean Hulk at King of the Table. It's been a month now since this has been posted on YouTube, so we are able to do some analysis now. Now, going into this, I really did think that Korean Hulk was going to destroy AUDEN. Just thinking about the matchup, Korean Hulk is almost 300 pounds, and of course he's much shorter, so he just has way more musculature. And if you're thinking about the kind of opponent who would do really well at AUDEN, or really well against AUDEN, it's going to be the same kind of opponent that does really well against Devin LARRATT, but maybe even more so. You're going to think of someone like Todd Hutchings, someone like Jerry Kydyrgali, someone who has the ability to pull without their wrist, because what AUDEN generally does, he's super good at taking hand control. He has a big hand and he has a long forearm, and that's going to lend itself toward forcing people to hold on to you. It's going to lend itself toward gaining height in a match, climbing, making adjustments. What it's not going to lend itself toward is arm power. AUDEN's leverage for arm power just biomechanically is very bad. His leverage to apply side pressure, to apply back pressure, it's going to be bad. Just like someone like Devin, Vitaly, Laletin, Alex Kurdetcha, all of these people with longer arms and bigger hands tend to struggle against flop pressers or people who can do a Todd roll, people who can do a top roll without their wrist. And seeing Korean Hulk in the past, I've seen him go up against people like Michael Todd and do a very effective top roll without their wrist. And he looked super strong. I don't know what kind of back pressure, what kind of side pressure Korean Hulk has in this match, but I really did think he was probably going to beat AUDEN 4-0. I just thought he was going to be too strong, too much backward, too much to the side, and he was just going to open AUDEN's elbow flexor. But what we saw in this match was total technical domination, and I think what really impressed me with AUDEN was his cupping. AUDEN really did a great job. He did almost more of a high hook a lot of times in this match. Now, probably in round one, we have a lot of movement before the go is called, it looks like. Maybe both pullers are doing this, so it's okay. And, you know, King of the Table seems to be looser rules anyway, so as long as they're being consistent, I think it's fine. But we see AUDEN just completely crushing the pronate of Korean Hulk, and what he's doing is he's putting a wedge right there. And Korean Hulk isn't really able to access his back pressure in such a way that will attack AUDEN's hand, that will allow him to go out the back. So he's going right into AUDEN's wrist line. And now he's on his bicep. His bicep is exposed, and he also can't go, he can't do a hook because AUDEN is maintaining that pronation. He's maintaining hand control in that regard as well. So AUDEN just completely destroys him in round one, just takes everything, every fundamental. But, you know, going onto a stage like this in round one, you're going to be a little bit nervous. Maybe you kind of fall asleep at the go, and then you have to make adjustments after that. So to me, this is not necessarily a huge deal. It's also outside of straps, which is clearly going to heavily benefit AUDEN here. Korean Hulk is just a much smaller human being. He has a smaller hands. He's going to have worse containment outside of straps. And you can just see here, you can see also how high AUDEN's grip is. He's low-handing basically, but he also has a just a lot of connection directly into Korean Hulk's fingertips. Now going into the second round, I think maybe we get a slip in this one, but I think it's called as a foul. Another thing that AUDEN is doing really well here is he's not really letting Korean Hulk get a very good position in terms of being tight, close to his elbow flexor, and he's not giving him that ability to really attack his fingers because AUDEN is still forcing Korean Hulk to hold on to him. And you'll see that every time at the go, Korean Hulk is having to slip underneath, even though he has that higher knuckle off the go, he's not really being able to make use of that. And I think that was probably what surprised me the most, is how much AUDEN in this match is opening Korean Hulk's elbow flexor. I just didn't expect that. I thought Korean Hulk would probably have like 150 pounds of back pressure, maybe even more, just based off of the size of his arms and what I've seen him do in the past. And it looks like that's just not the case. Now, again, this is outside of straps, so that might be what's causing this, but we can see this throughout the match. AUDEN is opening this elbow flexor, and AUDEN is really holding on quite a bit. He's just kind of dominating Korean Hulk. He's going right over the top of him. Now here we do get a slip, although it's a foul, and I think this is going to be a restart. And then we get a slip underneath. But once again, you can see AUDEN just controlling Korean Hulk's hand and opening that elbow flexor. That was just really shocking to me. And it seems like in the past, Korean Hulk has been someone who can pull without his elbow flexor, or excuse me, who can pull without his wrist flexor, but that just doesn't seem to be the case in this match. And again, quite a bit of movement before the go, but it looks like both guys are doing it, at least to a certain degree. And I would have thought that from here, Korean would have access to that elbow flexor, access to the side pressure, and he could bump Auden off of his shoulder line and he could drag him out and open Auden's elbow flexor. But we just never really see that. Auden just looks so strong here. Now, eventually, we do get somewhat of a stop in round 2 and the restart of round 2. And Korean Hulk almost has something here. But again, I'm very, very impressed by Auden's cupping. I think Auden's cupping is what surprised me the most in this match, and probably just his general power. But you can see there's clearly quite a bit of connection to Korean Hulk's elbow flexor through his thumb. And it's putting a lot of pressure into Auden's cupping. Notice how when Auden goes for the pin, he's very, very controlled. He's very methodical. He's very planned out. He doesn't, sometimes when people go for a pin like this, they end up losing their wrist flexor. They're so worried about getting the pin that they're not really feeling what's going on in the match, and they'll just blow right through their own wrist flexor. And that's not what happens here, because Korean Hulk does have that access to his back pressure a little bit more now. So Auden comes back up to the center table, and then he gets more cup. So instead of trying to simply bend his wrist, he brings his arm height up and he kicks his wrist knuckle out. This is a much more efficient way to get cup. Instead of just actively bending your wrist, you essentially move your wrist knuckle up or move your wrist knuckle out, and then that bends your wrist. This is much more efficient. You're using less musculature in your wrist, and you're using more positioning and more technique to get your wrist bent. And then he sweeps right back out, and Korean Hulk tries to make an adjustment here. He tries to get a regrip. Looks like he tries to hook Auden, and that did not work. When he tried to do that, he actually gave access to whatever Auden wanted to do, and then Auden just rolls right back out, because it looks like the only connection Korean had was kind of into Auden's fingertips a little bit, maybe his pinky pad right here, because Auden's cup wasn't quite as bent as he probably would have wanted it. But instead of continuing to go outside, Korean Hulk tries to hook Auden, and then he's not really putting that pressure anymore. And you can see on the second surge, Auden's cup is much more, his wrist is much more bent the second time around. So again, very impressed with Auden's cup, but also just super, super impressed with his general power. And then looking at the restart of this round, we see once again, and Auden is just so calculated. He's so planned out. As soon as this pin doesn't happen, he's not worried about it. He comes right back up. He's not ripping through his own arm angle, but he's stopping when he hits that kind of max effort, when he can tell that he's about to open up. Maybe his elbow flexor, maybe his shoulder commitment, his wrist is about to open up. He simply comes right back up, does the same thing over and over again. He does exactly what Devin did to Dennis. And to me, this is perfect. This is exactly what you want to do against an opponent like this. Takes him 3 surges, and then he gets through that elbow flexor. So he's probably really pumping up Korean Hulk's arm and his wrist at this point. And Korean Hulk just never gets any kind of access. He's always kind of underneath Auden's arm. And a lot of this is due to the setup, is due to the angle that Auden is pulling at. Probably Auden's speed as well. And also just the height. The height difference is very significant here. You're going to have to force the issue if you're Korean Hulk and get some kind of access onto Auden's bicep on the winning side of the table. And we're not really seeing him be able to do this in this match. I think this one, maybe we get another pin outside of the straps from Auden. A little bit of an early go there. Fouls cancel each other out. And then this one I think is going to be called as a win for Auden. Yeah, win for Auden. Right under the pin pad right there. And man, you can see Korean is just trying to slip. And it looks like maybe he even tried to hook him initially and then tried to slip underneath. But Auden just has so much height and so much cup that there's just nowhere at all for him to go. He's just crashing down. And you can see clearly below the pin pad right there. So that's a good call. 3-0 Auden LARRATT. And moving into the 4th and final round. And you can see it on the replay right there. Just straight down. High hook. Perfect. And really, he's not even, at this point, he's almost just holding on to Korean Hulk because he's so much stronger, and he's probably taken a lot out of the gas tank by now. So a lot of this, I think, is a geometry problem for Korean Hulk. I don't think that he maybe knows how to pull someone without his wrist that is so tall as Auden, and that has so much cup. It looks like when he was pulling Michael Todd, who has a much shorter forearm than Auden LARRATT, at least as far as I'm aware, I think that Michael Todd has a shorter forearm, and he just pulls at a different angle. He did much better historically, but going up against Auden, who's so good at the setup and is just so tall, is so high, and he's crushing his pronator, this is just not working for him. Then super, super dominant slip right there. And you can see, it's crazy to me how large Korean Hulk's biceps are, but you can see that elbow flexor just getting ripped open. I would have thought that he would have enough back pressure to open Auden's bicep or open Auden's elbow flexor angle and drag him toward this side of the pad, kind of like an Arsene Lillian style move where you just post up super high, knuckles tall, and you don't even really worry about your wrist flexion that much, but it's all about the elbow flexor and the high knuckles, and you fire back. But you can just see Auden's containment, just the containment, kind of that high hook, high containment angle is ripping through the elbow flexor of Korean Hulk. That is so impressive to me. I would have to think that Korean Hulk has a ton of back pressure, but it's just doing nothing in this match. And then the last go inside of straps. Once again, if you show me this setup, I would think that Auden is probably in trouble because of that crazy strong elbow flexor and side pressure, but it's just so easy. Now, actually, this one is going to be an early go, so we're going to redo this, but still, in the redo, once again, takes center so easily. He rips through the elbow flexor immediately. He comes back up. He hits again. There's a second hit, and now he has everything at this point. He's destroyed Korean Hulk's pronator. He's destroyed his cup. He's over the top. He has great access to his shoulder commitment. He's kept everything. He hasn't given away any of his fundamentals. And then it's just completely over. Drives him to the pad easily. So, man, overall, super, super impressive victory from Auden LARRATT. Like I said, I didn't think that he could do this one. I thought the Korean Hulk just had way too much power overall, and also too much power in an awkward position. But Auden just put on a technical clinic here. And also, he just showed that he is really, really strong right now. I think that Auden's technique is a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, but also his power is just on a different level at this point. We've seen him practice pulling with people like RVJ that I would have thought are significantly better than Auden LARRATT, significantly stronger, but he's really showing that he is significantly leveling up just in terms of his raw power. So he has the technique, but he does have the power to go along with it at this point. And I think he weighed in at like 230, 240 for this match. He's getting significantly bigger as well. And so I'm really excited to see who he's going to pull next, because I think that he really is ready based off of this match to start pulling some people with some genuine power. I would love to see him go up against Ryan Bowen. That's the match that I want to see next. But let me know what you guys think about all this. Was this surprising to you? Like I said, this really was surprising to me how dominant this win was for Auden. But it just showcases how strong he's getting. And let me know in the comments who you guys want to see him go up against next. I personally want to see Auden versus Ryan Bowen next. All right, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you later.